what we didn't get to in the last lesson was al-Tabaree, and we'll also, inshallah, deal with Jalaluddin al-Suyootee's Durr al-Manthoor, and in my opinion, saving the best for last, Zaad al-Maseer of Ibn al-Jawzee, Rahman bin Ali. And they represent quite a span in history. Al-Tabaree died in 310 AH. al-Suyootee died, when did he die? 911 AH, and Ibn al-Jawzee died in 597. So you have 3 or 4 centuries between each of these authors, and each of them is a practitioner of Tafsir bil-Ma'thur. However, you will see that in contrast to some of the tafsirs that we looked at in our last lesson, such as Abdurrazzaq, Abdurrazzaq in particular, he has no opinions of his own. He's always quoting a narration that leads back to Sahabi or Tabi, or sometimes the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. With these tafsirs, you will see that they're a combination of tafsir bil-ma'thur and tafsir bil-ra'i. Particularly, they give their opinions regarding linguistic issues, but more than that as well. Now, let's turn in particular to al-Tabaree, Muhammad ibn Jarir al-Tabaree, also known as Abu Ja'far. And when you read his tafsir, you see periodically it will say Qala Abu Ja'far. So that's when he's giving his particular opinion. That's his voice in the midst of all the other material that he has assembled. And al-Tabaree, of course, was a major scholar. He was considered a mujtahid. For a while, he had his own madhab, but it sort of petered out. He was heavily influenced by Imam Shafi'i, although he wouldn't have met him directly, I don't believe. Because Shafi'i died in 202 AH, so he would have died before al-Tabaree was born. Al-Tabaree is also famous for his Taarikh, and that's been translated into English. It's a huge project that was conducted, I think, by Oxford. Anyway, it's an Orientalist project. He also wrote a book called Tahdhib al-Athar, which is narrations on, I believe, fiqh issues. And he has some books on fiqh. However, he is best known for his tafsir. And just as an indication of really the sorry state of the heritage, our intellectual heritage, that at the beginning of the 20th century, Christian era or Common Era, his tafsir was considered to be lost. And then a copy of it was found with the ruler of the city of Ha'il, and at that time the Rashidis, they ruled the center of the Arabian Peninsula. Of course, they were the people that Abdulaziz ibn Saud, he overthrew them. He attacked Ha'il and conquered it, and then proceeded to take the rest of the Arabian Peninsula. Anyway, this ruler, he had a copy, and from his manuscript, a printed version was prepared. The first printing was in 1323 AH, and there have been numerous reprints since then. The first printings were in Egypt, and a notable addition was that of Ahmad Shakir and his brother Muhammad, who checked the isnads of a portion of the tafsir. They did the tahqiq, the editing, the checking of the narrations from al-Fatiha until Surah al-Tawbah, and at that point, one of them or both of them died. I'm not sure, but at any rate, the project was discontinued after the death of at least one of them. So now, as far as his methodology, after introducing a passage, and of course, you see that the whole methodology that was inherited really from the approach of tafsir bil riwaya. Tafsir bil riwaya is very much a sort of a mosaic approach, piece by piece, little facets of information. And so it's natural then that the approach to tafsir, if that's your starting point, would be that you look at each verse by itself. And so basically that's what he does. He may have a few verses together, but he'll have a passage and then he'll explain it. And after introducing the passage, he'll mention variant recitations and linguistic explanations of any possible questions that might arise regarding grammar, morphology, word usage, word meaning. And then he'll mention the interpretations of the passage proposed by earlier scholars. And he'll start by mentioning the positions in general. And then he'll focus in on each position, giving who said it and exactly what they said, with an isnad for every single narration. So he may have 2 or 3 or 4 narrations attributed to Ibn Abbas or to Qatada on a given point of view. And sometimes a particular authority will have more than one opinion attributed to him on a given verse or a given question. After quoting all of these, then he will give his tarjih. He'll choose what he considers to be the weightiest opinion, and he'll give reasons for doing so. And he discusses the aqidah and the fiqh implications of verses when they come up. And it should be noted, as I think I did mention in a previous lesson, that by no means are all of his narrations sahih, because the academic integrity of that era simply require that you mention the isnad. And after that, it's up to the reader to evaluate those isnads.